Good morning, how are you today? Welcome from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. My name's Linda and today we want to talk about hypoarousal because we've always heard about hyperarousal, but I want to talk to you about hypoarousal, what it is, how we can recognise it, and tips for working to overcome it. And the reason why is, first of all, we need information. Our brain needs information, we need language, we need an understanding of what's happening on the inside of us in order that we recognise that the effects of childhood developmental trauma are not who we are, they're our brain's continued reaction to what happened in our childhood. And the only way that we're going to be able to overcome the full-on body-ridden anxiety, the depression, all the effects of trauma, and they are far-reaching and complex, is that we are able to begin to recognise when it happens and what's happening, and also being able to go to our therapist or our trauma coach and gain further insight and strategies. So, for today, here we go. So, when we're looking at sorry, my screen just went all funny. I hope it's all good for you. And I also want to put up an infographic for you as well. I don't know if that's way too big. I thought so. Okay, so I'm going to move over here because it's important that you're able to see also what I'm talking about. So we need the visual in through our eye, in through our retina, which is attached to our brain as well. So over on this side is me explaining what a window of tolerance is. So if you look over on, this is fun, this side, you can see your window of tolerance, okay? So this is when everything feels just right in our day. We're calm but not tired, we're alert but not anxious, and you'll find also that your breathing is very gentle and we're focused on what we need to do, and there's no anxiety happening in our heart centre or any part of our body, so there's no tightness from being triggered, alright? But then what happens is, if we get triggered, we go into what's called dysregulation. Now, dysregulation feels like we're shutting down. It may feel spacey. We may lose track of time, but you don't feel out of control, but you don't feel comfortable either. And I'm aware of when this dysregulation happens for me because I've become aware of my pattern, and my pattern is, instead of being focused on the things that I want to get done, when the dysregulation happens, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So, for argument's sake, I could just be scrolling through pages on Facebook thinking I'm looking for information, then all of a sudden I become aware of that my mind or my brain is not engaged in what I want to be doing. So in order to know what I want to be doing, I have a list from the night before of what my focus is for the day, and I have it in front of me so that I can look down and go, oh, the dysregulation's happening, so I want to get back to what I want to focus on, not where my neuro responses have taken me without me knowing, okay? Now, it takes a while to identify when well, for me it certainly did. It took a while. First of all, I had to understand it, what dysregulation was, and then I had to be able to go recognise it in the now, all right? I think it's really important for us that we know that the effects of childhood development trauma are not who we are, okay? And they don't represent who I am or what I'm capable of. It's like having switches in your brain that go on and off without us being able to have any say in it, okay? So it's an automatic response to a trigger that we don't even know is there, okay? But what happens is, if we miss the window of dysregulation, so we miss that moment when it could be moments when we're in dysregulation, what will happen is the body shifts into hypoarousal, which is where we've lived a lot of our lives without us knowing it. So when we're in hypoarousal, we feel extremely zoned out and numb emotionally and physically as well. So we're not aware of time passing, okay? It can just go missing. I know I've looked back over time and gone, oh my goodness, where did the last few hours go? Because I had to build into myself an awareness of when hypoarousal was happening. Okay, so if you're feeling full-on anxious and you feel like you've got no control of that anxiety, you need to be aware of build into yourself that awareness of when hypoarousal has taken over. And it is neurological, and it affects our biology and our physiology, and it's from childhood developmental trauma. It's not something that we chose, but it is something that we can choose to work with and overcome. So why? Your brain registered overwhelm, okay? Your brain registered for whatever reason that I'm not safe. And yes, you can be sitting at home and all of a sudden being in hypoarousal, and it's because your brain's sensed something via one of your senses and it believes you're not safe, and we may never know what that trigger is, okay? And what happens is with hypoarousal, structures in the brain go offline. They include insula, which is the body connection and awareness. So we actually have to work really, really hard to be aware of our body connection, okay? Mind, body, emotional, and our body, etc., etc. Our amygdala, which is our emotional center, goes offline, as does our hippocampus, which files everything away nice and neat for us. There's another one called an anterior cingulate, and our prefrontal cortex, which is where we plan and have order and function. It goes offline as well in hypoarousal. So we can't process information and we can't provide the correct response. I was actually listening to a professor talk about this last night, and they were saying how when we've experienced such extreme trauma in our childhood, for example, like sexual abuse, we actually create a space in our mind that we go to feel safe, okay? Because as a child, we have neither language nor understanding nor coping tools or mechanisms. We have nothing, and the person in power is betraying us. And so we do have a part of our mind where we go to and we feel safe. Now, what happens in adulthood is that when let's just say the same events occur, then we actually lose our power and ability to do things like say no, because we go off to that space automatically to feel safe. All right, so it's something that we have to learn how to verbalize when we don't feel safe. We're allowed to say that we don't feel safe, and I want to work through how I can feel safe in this situation. Okay, so when we feel disconnected from our body, our feelings, and our rational mind, it's because we felt that internal sense of danger and my life is threatened. So it's not conscious, okay? As an adult, it's not a conscious thing that happens. It happens within our brain, not our mind, within our brain structure of what's in there. So as an adult, I have to do the work in order to let my brain muscle. It's like learning to exercise our brain in order that it begins to understand I'm an adult now and I am choosing places where I'm safe. I am safe in this environment, and we can actually teach ourselves that as well So when we go out to shopping centres, when we go out to different places to visit, we can build into us this resilience by, first of all, affirming that I am safe. So we want to look around and we go, I am safe. And remember, because this feels irrational, we have to be the ones as an adult that makes it rational for us. Okay, I am safe because if I choose to, I can leave this situation. Okay, so build into your vocabulary all the reasons why you are safe. Okay, things that we want to do definitely to help this is one of the things is slow down. And not just slow down our body movements, but slow down our breathing, all right? We want to build into ourselves this conscious awareness of breathing slowly, all right, and finding where the parts in our body are, where the muscles are tight, in order that we can continue to breathe slowly and relax our muscles, all right? Slowly but surely. And I work on this at gym because I go in and we have this, well, I do have this, let's go, let's conquer this, let's conquer the world. And it's like engaging the prefrontal cortex and we're going to do this and da-da-da-da-da. But what happens is it negates how I'm feeling. So when I slow down and I breathe and I become aware of how I'm feeling, it can then engage with the prefrontal cortex, okay? And it feels a whole lot better, and it doesn't feel like I've got to take on the world and solve problems. It feels like I know my place in my world and what I'm doing and where I'm going. It allows for a lot more focus than we've been able to have in the past, okay? Which is, I was going to say, the next on the list is work with your body first. And be curious about your environment. Curiosity is something that we lose as a child because of what happens to us, but we can regain curiosity about the whole world, the world around us, the world further out from us. And curiosity is a good thing because it engages our imagination as well. And it allows our mind to expand and become bigger. It allows our emotions to flow a lot more deeply and easily as well, because we're teaching our internal system that we're safe to be curious, we're safe to play. And I understand that if you've never had complex PTSD or never had trauma in childhood, that this may sound really, really odd to you, and that's okay. But for those of us that came up with this, we know that we've got to work with our brain and our body in order to live a continually progressive, healthy life and to come through recovery. I want you to learn to do something that engages your happy emotions. Okay, so my current trick is that when I get into dysregulation, I'm aware of it. And so I'll go and watch a quick YouTube video, and what it does, because it's funny, it makes me laugh, which takes in more oxygen, and we need more oxygen circulating in our system. That's a scientific fact. And as it does that, I'm able to go, oh, right, that's where I was. That's what I need to do. I need to get back to what I want to focus on, not where the, unknown triggers in the brain have taken me. And it's hard and it's challenging, but it's worth every single effort that we make to overcome it, because we get not only our brain and our body back online, but we uncover our passion for life, for our purpose, what we're here to do, and what we love. And then we're able to pass that on to our children as well. Okay. Engage your thoughts as well. Okay, now some things that we can do with our thoughts is we can sit down and read. If you're finding that you're dysregulated, sit down and read, because it gives order to your thoughts. Okay, you might have to force your focus, but it gives order to your thoughts, which helps get you back online. If hypoarousal is kicked in, talk to a friend. It's that interpersonal connection that helps you overcome it, okay? And give your friend a heads up that I just need to talk this out. I don't need a solution, but I need you to be able to hear me because I want to get my brain back online. Okay? All right. Oh, and the other thing is that you can do is use a chat line. These days you can find chat lines all around the world with qualified people to talk to, and they can help you move through the hypoarousal, get back into regulating your emotions, and get yourself back online for the day. All right, I hope this helps. Please feel welcome to ask any questions down below. If you're here for the replay, do #replay. Tomorrow I want to talk about trust because I've had a deepening understanding of trust overnight, and I hope this blesses you, and have the most gorgeous day if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, and if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and bye for now.